Hello, EduMagicians. Welcome to the EduMagic podcast with your host, Dr. Sam Fessich. Dr. Sam is a professor of education, author of EduMagic, and a pumpkin spice latte fan. This podcast is designed for pre-service teachers. Remember, friends, teaching doesn't begin at graduation, but during that first class at 8 a.m. Let's get this party started.
I'm Katie Atwell, co-host of the EduGals podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hello, EduMagicians. It's Dr. Sam, and today I'm really excited to be sharing with you one of the tips from our new book, 50 Tips for New Teachers. Crush it from the start. So if you're a new teacher, if you're a student teacher, or in higher ed, you definitely want to check out this book. You can grab it over on Amazon. But today I want to share with you some lesson planning tips. So let's jump in today. Let me take you back into a little story here. So I was observing one of my student teachers, probably in September or so. And she shared, I'm super overwhelmed with finding what I need to do in my lesson plan. I have these super long lesson plans. They're like 4 or 5 pages long. Whoo, baby, that's a long lesson plan. And, sometimes I just get confused where I am or what I'm doing in my lesson while I'm teaching it. She's like, so my co-op gave me this awesome idea, and it's called a lesson plan at a glance. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? Tell me more. And she shared, it's a one-pager that quickly describes what I'm doing in that lesson. So I take that content from my huge lesson plan and I put it into a one-pager. It has the date, the topic, things like that, the standards I'm working on, but it also has adaptations, it has materials listed, it has any assessments that I'm doing, my closure, my intro. It's just really quick bullet pointed information so I can quickly look to see, I need to make sure I have enough copies of this page, or I need to make sure that my slides are updated for this period. So whenever I'm in my planning period, I can quickly look at my lesson plan at a glance and check to see where I'm at, what I need to be doing, in addition to that longer lesson plan. So it really is a fantastic resource to have. You can look through it. There are tons of templates over on our good friend Canva. I love Canva. If you've never used it before, it's a fantastic design tool. It looks like you're really good at designing stuff, but you just put in some content. So over at Canva EDU, if you're a K-12 educator, you can grab Canva EDU for free and just put in your credentials, and you can grab lesson plan templates. There's worksheets, presentations, tons of stuff. And one of those templates is a lesson plan at a glance. So you can either type in the content over and on Canva, download it as a PDF, or print it out and write it in there as you go through your weekly lessons or as you're prepping for your lesson plan. So I wanted to share with you that tip. That was a really fun one, the lesson plan at a glance. It helps you keep organized and on track with your lesson planning so you don't get super overwhelmed with that 4 to 5 page lesson plan. That lesson plan at a glance includes things like the intro, the topic, the standards, adaptations, assessment pieces, the I do, we do, you do type, teaching procedure, and it's just quick bullet pointed information. So it's just quick and look. What do I need to do? What do I need to prep? It has materials and resources listed, and you can just take that info right from your huge long lesson plan and pop it into a one-pager, a lesson plan at a glance, right? So I wanted to share with you one of our lesson planning tips over in the book, Crush It From the Start, 50 Tips for New Teachers. And this one is all about the I do, the I do, we do, you do in the gradual release. So your scaffolding students, here I'm going to show you how to do this process. Let's do it together, and then I'm going to let you go off on your own for independent practice. So in this tip on the book, you can go ahead and you can see that the goal is to demonstrate the instructional sequence. So I'm going to practice this problem or practice this equation, and then we're going to do a practice problem together, maybe 1, 2, or 3, and then we're going to go ahead and do some individual practice or independent practice. And over here for each of our tips, we have little activities that you can do to help support your learning. So you're not just like, okay, I read that, now what do I do? You actually have some stuff to scaffold and structure your own learning here in the book, 50 Tips, Crush It From the Start. So that's just one of them here. And then there's another tip on how to plan for interdisciplinary units. I love a good cross-curricular lesson and collaboration with other colleagues in different areas. So definitely want to check that out. If you're doing any cross-curricular lesson planning, make sure you're also planning with the special ed teacher for any adaptations or accommodations that you might need in that lesson. And it's great because students can hear different topics being talked about from different lenses, different perspectives, because sometimes when you say something to a student, it just doesn't land right. But if somebody else says the same, similar, different types of wording, oh yeah, I get it. I totally understand that. So that one's pretty fun, using interdisciplinary lessons, and you're able to cross-pollinate that information. So you're able to hit lots of different standards, lots of different perspectives. And some great ways to do that is through project-based learning or through collaborative planning. So that's a really fun one. And then here, and for this activity, it walks you through some different resources that you can use to plan out your cross-curricular lesson, and some reflection questions over here when you think about cross-curricular planning and collaborating with others. Another one of my favorites is social emotional learning. And here, I'm going to highlight the activity over here in the book, 50 Tips for New Teachers. SEL, it's not just a buzzword. It's something we need to do with all of our students, K through, dare I say, K through college, because social emotional learning is definitely part of that unwritten curriculum. And it doesn't have to be anything super big that takes up a lot of time. Social emotional learning is checking in with your students. For me, I love DMing my students probably about every 2 weeks and just checking in. Hey, how's it going? Or checking in to see what they're up to on campus or what they're working on. If they have any feedback, just checking in with my students has been really important in building that relationship with them, and also in that social emotional learning. There's lots of tech tools that you can use to do SEL check-ins. Two of my favorites. One is with Lumio. So with Lumio, you can do SEL check-ins. They have beautiful templates already done for you. You can have individual students draw on their whiteboards, or on their laptops, or on the interactive whiteboard. I'm pointing like this is not an interactive board, it's just plain old whiteboard. But you can have students draw on their computers. They can circle how they're feeling. They can check in with them. Hey, I noticed that you circled the tired emoji. How's your sleep schedule? What's going on? And is there anything I can do to help support you? Or just checking in with students. You can do thumbs up, thumbs down. That's a little bit more public, but if you have like individual little check-ins like the templates that they have over on Lumio for SEL, those are more private, and you can have them, send them right to you as a teacher. Another great one to do an SEL check-in, just a quick temperature of the room, is with Classroom Screen. So Classroom Screen has a polling option, and you can send out you can have it up on the interactive whiteboard. As students come in, they can touch on the little emoji, how they're feeling. You can have I think it's 3 to 5 different choices on that one, like a happy face, a meh face, or a sad face, or everything in between there. So they can click on it as they come in, or there's a QR code and a link that they can go to on their own computers. They can click on that or scan the code, and then they can go ahead and check in that way. The thing is, with Classroom Screen, it doesn't track who says what, so you can't really go back and double check and see how students are doing. That's why I like the one from Lumio, because it tracks student data. It says, so-and-so checked this one. Okay, great. I know that student's ready to go. They're rock and rolling. They're feeling hyped for today, which is awesome. And, also emailing or texting those students like, hey, I'm glad you're present today. Thanks so much for participating. You rocked it with that one answer in class. That's another really fun one. You don't always have to check in with the students, or just check in with the students who are or tired or upset or something like that. Always check in with everybody, see how they're doing. That's also a great one. So SEL check-ins are fantastic. And in the book, we go ahead and we share out different SEL strategies. So those were just some 2 tech tools I wanted to share with you for SEL. So when we're lesson planning, it's important to go ahead, get that lesson plan at a glance, grab all that important details or that important information you need to look at quickly, I'm putting it on a one-page or a lesson plan at a glance. When you're planning out lessons, don't be afraid to get cross-curricular or do some interdisciplinary unit planning. That's always a fun one. Because you can collaborate with colleagues, you can co-plan, you can hit a lot of different standards, and students are getting the information from lots of different perspectives, and you're cross-pollinating that information. So they're hearing it in one class and another, and building that schema for the information. Whenever we are lesson planning, we also want to build in some of those SEL supports to support our students, whether that's at the beginning of the lesson, midway, or at the end. Check-ins with your students through DMs if they're an appropriate age to do that. I teach adult learners, so it's a pretty appropriate way to do that with my students. But there's lots of ways you can connect and get to know your students through SEL check-ins and through those lesson planning tips. All right, friends, I hope that this was helpful. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye for now.
There you have it, Edu-Magicians. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with your friends. For more Edu-Magic, check out sfessage.com and follow Dr. Sam on Twitter and Instagram @sfessage. Until next time, you have the Edu-Magic within you.